All right, let's see. I feel like I have a feeling. Twitch is complaining to me about bitrate. Is it a problem? Is it a problem with me or is it a problem with Twitch? I don't know. So the bitrate they're reporting seems to be an acceptable bitrate. But the line is red, which usually means not acceptable. Let me try refreshing. Ah, there we go. The line's green now. The line's green now. I was wondering. All right. Well, we have a short week, partially because I know that I lost a couple articles. I don't know if it's my fault or Notion's fault, because how I generally find these things is I then just share them onto a Notion thing, and maybe I was clicking the wrong thing and I shared them to I don't know where. And maybe I don't know. I've never had Notion lose something, so I'm assuming I screwed up. So, somehow. So we have a few articles missing. That's okay. That's okay. We still have a few things to cover, and it should be pretty good. We're going to change everything up this week, and we're going to cover cloud news first. We're going to go over the major providers, the things that they've brought and bring to the table. Then we're going to hit security, as there's only 3 things in security to talk about. And lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about open source, and then just a little bit about some stuff in software engineering. Actually, just one thing that I saw interesting for all of you Java lovers out there. Yeah, this is for you specifically. All right, as usual, I have really been struggling finding the proper GCP, the GCP news. They have a lot of marketing and a lot of things like that, and honestly, it makes it very difficult to find new features coming out, as a lot of their stuff is marketing. I do my very best. I used to have this page here that I would go through, and it would always have marketing stuff in it, but it now seems to be more marketing. So the only thing I found going through the blog was this improves sustainability with our Earth engine and BigQuery connector. So they have a new connector between their Google Earth engine and BigQuery, basically letting you import that stuff. And this was more marketing of how it's being used, but it's also out there. So if you wanted to import that data into BigQuery, you absolutely can now. Jumping right along into AWS news here, we are announcing AWS's dedicated local zones. Now, this is on top of local zones. So if you've ever used local zones, run latency-sensitive applications closer to your end user. So to understand local zones are basically a way to, they're the edge for AWS. They're data centers, but they're very small data centers with not as much stuff. There's not as many features or functionality or things there in these local zones. And that's okay. That's what they're kind of designed for. These dedicated local zones basically carve out some of the data center for you so that you're not mixing network and whatnot. Not that this is going to be big for many people, but there are some people with regulatory requirements and things like that around their data and how they deal with their data. So I'm probably thinking banks here, maybe some healthcare as well. Some of those people are probably going to really enjoy these dedicated local zones, which effectively carves out your own infrastructure for you. I say effectively. I don't know exactly how it's implemented, but I think it's a pretty big deal for those people that are wanting something like this and needing that extra layer of security. So, as you can see, it's a pretty short list of things that are available in these dedicated zones. So don't go into these thinking that it's going to have everything that you normally would, because they don't. It's just like local zones, except dedicated. So not like local zones. All right. Amazon Aurora Global Database introduces global database failover. So if you're using Aurora Global Database, they now have a failover. So I don't know. Yeah. Starting today, we've also renamed Managed Plan Failover to Global Database Failover. Basically, they had this other option. It is kind of renaming, but it also added some stuff as well to help with that. So basically with global database, you can convert a secondary region into a new primary region in typically a minute and will maintain a multi-region global database configuration. Pretty cool if that's what you're using. Announcing Amazon Managed Service for Apache Flink, renamed from Amazon Kinesis Data Analytics. Anyways, I just was bringing this up because it's the rename. So if you were looking for it, you were accustomed to finding it under one name. It's now changed names. And so I don't know how much chaos this is going to cause you, but I assure you it will cause some amount of chaos. And there you go. There's your warning. Microsoft Azure Confidential Ledger is enhancing your customer, not your customers, you, the customers, trust in Azure hardware supply chain. So security is important. A lot of us think about supply chains as in the software aspect of things, but security comes at so many other levels. And this is Microsoft's root of trust for their devices on their Azure hardware. So they're basically trying to make sure that their Azure hardware is secure. You can read more in this if you'd like. I did not go too far in depth myself, as it's pretty straightforward. But yeah, there you go. Upgrade to App Service Environment v3 today to unlock new capabilities. I don't know when App Service released, but there was not much else going in Azure. So what I wanted to do is bring this up that the versions 1 and 2 are going to be end of life on August 2024. So if you're using those, not only do you have a little less than a year, a few days less than a year, but on top of that, you can upgrade to V3 now. It's out, not in beta, not in alpha. It's fully released in GA, and it has some benefits. So go ahead and start planning on it. No rush because it's now. All right, let's jump into security. We're on a roll. We're on a roll here. Cloud done in 10 minutes. It is a record. Now, that being said, I didn't do security. We're on security now. I started with clouds because you weren't here yet, and I know you submitted something for security, and I appreciated that, and I wanted to wait for you to be here. So let's talk a little bit about security. We are going to start with the one submitted by Russell. Super appreciate it when the community brings in news articles. Marshalling Enter to bypass full disk encryption with TPM. All right, so this was submitted by the community, and like I said, super appreciate it. So thank you, Russell, for submitting this. This is basically bypassing full disk encryption on Linux with TPM. They don't state that here, but I'm pretty sure it's TPM v2. You know, the whole thing that Microsoft is doing it. But yeah, it's an interesting attack. Now, I haven't gotten to go over it all. I'm going to post a link to it for you all. So I was kind of rushing because I was a little late editing videos, and I didn't get to read this until just a few minutes beforehand, but it seems to be a very interesting exploit. And the other thing is, I kind of liked... I only got to right here where it started talking about the exploit, but it seemed to go into enough information, but not too much information, which is kind of a happy medium to go into. And so basically this is an exploit that happens right at the beginning of boot, for your Linux boot, to basically steal your encrypted hard drive so they can access it. So, yep. Kind of terrifying. I haven't gotten through the whole thing, though. So, you know, I'll hopefully get that done tonight. So I can't say much more about it, other than go read it yourself. Google developed a quantum safe security key. So I like my YubiKey. I think YubiKeys are really great for traveling. You know, I got to talk to a security professional, and I asked why a YubiKey is more secure than my Authy app that I have. Because to me, the Authy app has 2 levels of authentication. First, you have to get into the phone, and then once you get into the phone, you have to get into Authy. And both have passwords, and they're not the same password. And what he told me is when you get this, you have no idea what accounts this can access. But if you are able to crack Authy, it literally tells you what accounts they're for. And so it makes the path to accessing them a little bit easier, even though, you know, this is just what it is. And if you have this, you have access. You have no idea. If you found this, I didn't write my name on it. You don't know it was from me. If I dropped it in a McDonald's, it would be very difficult to leverage. And it's also easy to remove. So if you drop this in a McDonald's, it's very easy to delete this device from everything, which is also another nice thing to just deactivate it. So I'm not a security professional. There's my thing. That's my understanding of the status quo. So it's really cool to see. Now they say it's quantum safe. You know, I will believe it when I see it. I think there's a lot of quantum safe in theory. A lot of things are safe in theory, and then hackers seem to get around it anyways. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Chrome extensions can steal plain text passwords from websites. I think we've all known this. I'm just putting this up as a general warning. You're installing somebody else's software into your browser. So there you go. That's all I saw for security. Was there something else that I missed? If you were not here for the beginning of this, there was a disconnect between me and Notion, and how this works is as I find articles and stuff, I share it with Notion, and I don't know if it was a me problem or a Notion problem, but the first 3/4 of the week, everything I shared didn't show up in Notion. It was a me problem, not a Notion. I don't know that it was a Notion problem. Maybe I did something wrong. I looked at like the last 2 weeks to see if I had shared them there, and I hadn't. So not sure what exactly happened, but it's going to be a short week. So now it's on to open source. It's quantum safe now, as quantum computers are still too early to be useful cracking things, I think. I mean, the NSA's and Beijing's quantum computers can probably crack things. But other than that, yes, that would be my assumption at this point. Although, if you wrote the backdoors for the encryption algorithms, do you really need a quantum computer? That's what I'm asking. That's the question. All right, let's talk a little bit about open source. There was a couple exciting things that were happening in the open source world that I thought I would share with you all. The first thing was something I talked about a couple of weeks ago, was the the BCA chefs pull request. So I don't know if it's BCA chef. It's probably more like BC. No, it's Bcache FS. That's what it's really called, but I like calling it BCA chefs. But Bcache FS, which is a new file system that's been in the works for a while, that has a lot of promising things. It got rejected for the 6.5 Linux kernel, but it does appear to be resubmitted, and with hopefully everything outstanding from the previous PR thread been resolved, which there was a few questions around threading, although as Linus Torvalds pointed out, that threading was only local to it and not Linux, so it didn't mess with anything else as well. So hopefully we see that merged into 6.6, and then hopefully we get to start using that in 6.8, 6.9, or whatever Linus decides to go with the kernel number 7. I think he does that maybe somewhat whimsically when he feels like enough things have changed. So anyways, I'm excited for it. I'm watching it, as you can see. And so yeah. Another exciting thing in the Go realm, I know that we've been programming Go a little bit recently, to the chagrin of many, is open sourcing SQX, a way to build flexible database models in Go. So it's kind of an ORM. Now, you guys will all know I absolutely love SQLX. If you're using Rust, SQLX is awesome. Now, a couple things caught my attention here. First, they know the true name. It's the Squirrel Extended. So they've got it right. So this is a Squirrel library for all of you out there. Not any of that dirty NoSQL librarying. And it has some interesting concepts. So a lot of senior engineers will tell you the dangers of an ORM. And basically, ORMs are really great for prototyping. And then at one point, you're going to start fighting the ORM instead of just writing Squirrel. And it turns out to be easier just to write Squirrel and understand Squirrel than to have to understand Squirrels into such depth to manipulate an ORM and doing the Squirrel that you want to do. Maybe I did that a little bit with Bun yesterday. Trying to make the right thing to get the right. Anyways, you get the point. So anyways, an ORM does a lot of things like mapping a set of rows into a in-memory object. Kind of convenient sometimes, but this is a very interesting take. A Squirrel Extended is a very interesting take on that mapping. And I'm kind of interested to play around with it. I'm not going to do it in anything that I've already done with Bun, but I'm definitely going to play around with it a little bit. So they just open sourced it, so you can go and check it out. It's SQX, not SQLX. So yeah, it's a cool open source project. ReezerFS? Do you know anybody that actually used ReezerFS? I've never used it. But that's a good call out. I can't obviously keep up on everything. Killer FS. I can't obviously keep up on everything, but I do attempt at least the things that I'm interested in and are excited about. So please feel free, if you know stuff like that ReezerFS is being removed, please bring those things up, because this is a way to let everyone know. So awesome. Now, I have saved the absolute best for last. We are solving the absolute biggest problem out there. This is going to fundamentally change software engineering as we know it. I could not be more serious right now. An entire team of engineers has worked the last year on this. I think you guys are going to like it. Ready Now starts up and stays fast. Enables Java applications to start up fast and keep running fast. There you go. The revolutionary technology. We finally fixed Java, so now there's no reason not to use Java anymore. You can use Ready Now. You start up and stay fast all day long, until you run out of memory, and then you're done. I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself when I saw that. I had to bring it up. Sadly, ReezerFS became nicknamed KillerFS. The creator... Oh, I didn't know that. I don't know much about ReezerFS. So thanks for bringing that up, Raj. Did not know that. I haven't used it. It's not the default one. I know. I had this great reveal of a meme. Well, it's not a meme. I mean, literally, they did do that. And then you had to bring that up. Should have read chat before I revealed my big reveal. Thanks, Raj. What a reveal killer. Ready Now. I kind of want to know what they did. It's not open source, unfortunately. I would love to know, like, what it is. Like, what did they do? Is it a Java runtime? I don't know. The Java, it may actually be required. That would be cool if this was open sourced. You know, as I don't know if Red Hat is going to open source things anymore, or if they'll just buy them and keep them closed source. But if that was true, these types of things like this actually do interest me from a learning perspective, because like whatever these people did was interesting. Like whether this makes me use Java or again or not, which is not going to. I have more problems than just the horrendous speed, but whatever they did to do that has interesting engineering complexities and things like that. So I think that if it was open source, I definitely would do like a weekend deep dive of how they did what they did. It would also be interesting to see if it was actually programmed in Java or not. That would be... It's a C++ thing. It's made by Azure, but it's not ServiceNow. It's just Ready Now. Because your Java application is Ready Now. You see what they did there? Yeah. It's an advertisement and a name. Is your Java application Ready Now? I should charge them for advertising at this point. It's not sponsored by Azure. I really meant it as a meme, not as a come up for their advertisement keyword. Nothing against them, obviously. Nothing against them. If you do a lot of Java, it sounds cool. My Java application hasn't even had development start yet. Ready later. Oh. Yeah, and that's actually, guys, that's it. I know 33 minutes for one of these sessions is outstanding, and partially I know there's 5 or 6 ones that I missed, and for that I apologize. 2, there wasn't a whole lot going on that I saw. Did I miss something? Are you guys aware of something that I didn't bring up? Yeah, other than that, we're done. We can go home. I am home, but we can, yeah. I don't know. It seems too short, but that was the news. That's what I saw. Minus a few things. Oh, You know what? There was one of the articles that I know I talked about or had, and I don't have it on my hand or in a form right now. Let me look if I can't find it really quickly. Is the Open Terraform Foundation, so the OpenTF, did have some pretty big announcements. So a couple large companies joined the OpenTF that I think might make it more viable. So we have this wasn't everything that I had. But Harness, Gruntwork, Spacelift, Digger, Doppler, there's quite a few places who are now supporting it. So we're up to 137 companies have signed on to support Open Terraform. So I know that we talked last week about it being, maybe a one or the other. Either Open Terraform is going to, I don't see a split environment. I don't think that's going to be it. You're either going to go with Open Terraform or you're going to go with Terraform. I don't know what else to call it. Maybe we'll call it, we'll call it BS Terraform because it's the business source license, right? So it's the BS Terraform. So we have Open Terraform and BS Terraform that we have because we're putting the abbreviation based off of their source code license. Open Terraform, BS Terraform. I think it's fair. So yeah, this was something I wanted to bring up. I'm sorry. I'm in a good mood. I have tomorrow off, which I'm going to get my Kubernetes 128 video edited tomorrow. My Kubernetes 127 is done completely. It's rendered. It's uploaded. It's going to be released probably tonight, actually. Probably tonight. My 128 video is coming out. So... Big news is that 30% of global PC gaming compute power will be used by Starfield on Tuesday. Coincidentally, many people will be ill Wednesday. It appears. Dang it, if I wasn't on a business trip with important meetings to be in an office on Wednesday, you know where I would be. Sick. So unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to join the sick people that have that mysterious illness. Yeah. You have any use case for swap-enabled Kate's workload now that it is beta in... So, Raj, interesting question. I have a take on it in my Kubernetes 128 Kubernetes video that you should be able to see. I want to do end of this week. I'm going to be away on a trip, but I'm hopefully going to get a lot of it done tomorrow, a lot of the editing done, and then tidy it up on Saturday and Sunday, and hopefully release it next Sunday. So swap enabled Kates is interesting. So I've had this argument back at SUSE with a colleague, and we argued about why. I argued that swap should never be supported, and he argued that swap should just by default be supported. And it's an interesting argument. And I think there's valid reasons to say either. If you're looking at predictable packing of machines where you use the right amount of memory and you pack them perfectly. So you're talking about your Googles, your Microsofts, your whatnot. I don't think swap is a valid thing. And the reason is a swap can have unintended performance hindrance. So for Google or somebody that's actually going to size their machines and get the right machines with the right amount of CPU, memory, ratio, You don't want swap because you have the right machine for the job. And swap, if you hit it, so if you run out of memory, you've also run out of CPU. That's the idea of doing a good pack, is if you run out of CPU, you also run out of memory, and you just need a new machine. And you'll get the best performance that way, and the predictable performance. But the caveat here, and what my friend and colleague would have argued, or did argue, is that not everyone perfectly packs their machine, and this allows you to leverage the machine more fully without it just hard faulting on you and things having an ohm issue. So I think my current stance on swap in Kubernetes is that it's really great for people who can't manage to pack efficiently. But if you can pack efficiently, it'll be much more predictable performance if you can just do that. And you guys have been just talking about IGN at this point. We're on to Starfield. Should I start doing game reviews now? I'll have to get that in there. But you should watch my Kubernetes 128 release notes. Let me know what you think. I state that a little bit more concisely in there. So yeah, I think it's good. I do think it's a good change, because I think there will be some people that can leverage it to have a little bit more stability. I should run Starfield in Kubernetes. You know what? That's a fair take. I should do some of those things. And the reason to do those things is to make a video, to get people to watch it, to then spread awareness of Kubernetes and things like that. To make to be more helpful. Honestly, that's actually a good take. I don't have a Kubernetes cluster though that can run Starfield. That's my first problem. So I have to become a bigger YouTuber so I can afford to run Starfield in Kubernetes. Will it run on Linux? Because this PC could run it, right? Could it run Kubernetes with Starfield in it? That's another problem. I don't know. Also, there's always the hard take of, even though Starfield is running, can I access its UI? I'd have to basically mount. I'd have to mount everything in that container. That sounds like a pain. I'd have to mount everything in the container. I am ready to play Starfield, though. I got it pre-downloaded. Of course it's Windows only. Isn't it owned by Microsoft? I think it's Bethesda's first under Microsoft thing. So I just know that I get to play it for free because my kids have an Xbox Game Pass. And so I didn't have to pay for it. What I have to say is I've loved Bethesda games. I'm especially fond of Elder Scrolls. I kind of wish they had made, the next Elder Scrolls, not an online one, please. Elder Scrolls Online was a mistake and a half. 3 mistakes. It was 3 mistakes in a row. I wish they had done that over Starfield, but they generally produce quality stuff. So I actually really like our, I know paying Microsoft, but their Xbox Game Pass is really nice because it's cheaper than buying the games, and most of the games, all of the Minecraft games that my kids love playing, are on it. So yeah, I am going to Slum City. So I will hopefully be safe. It's It's a shame. It's a shame. But yeah. Anyways, okay. I do have a trip. I won't be streaming tomorrow, even though I do have it off work. I'm going to be preparing for my trip and getting my Kubernetes 128 release notes. Watch the 127 coming out tonight. And I will see you guys next Saturday, hopefully, for a stream. And have a fantastic week. Thanks, everyone.